So today I'm sitting here with a friend of mine. Her name is Taylor. She's never done this before. I needed a human being to experiment on, to sort of show you how this works. Taylor, by the way, are you a good reader? Can you read? Are you literate? What's the story?
Yes.
Yeah, so she's at university. What are you studying?
Sport and exercise science.
Sport and exercise science, okay. So can you stare at that little dot on the page for me? And I've just got Taylor staring at the dot on the page. And when you've got children who you're checking for scotopic sensitivity or visual stress, you just want them to stare at the dot for ages. And you want to make clear to them that you don't want them to look up. So Taylor, even if I don't know, start dancing or singing, I just want you to stare at the dot. Sure. Now, while you're staring at that dot on the page, what happens to the words?
The words further out start to fade a bit more.
The words further out, so they start to fade.
Further out around the page are fading more, the ones closer.
Yep, okay. So she's describing that, she can see that middle section really clearly, and then around it, it gets a bit blurry, and that's normal. That's what you'd expect. And so let me show you the sort of questions you'd be asking a child to answer for you, okay? So Taylor, while you're staring at that dot, can you describe for me what the words are doing? Like the black bits of the words. What are they doing on the page while you stare at the dot?
The black bits are fading more, so it's more like the background rather than the word.
Okay, so are you saying that the letters are sort of getting thinner and thinner and fading, or what do you mean?
Yeah, kind of going, if I'm just staring at the dot, I can't really see what they're doing. I'm just kind of just seeing that they're kind of fading from what I can tell they were before. So
yeah, and if Taylor was talking about the words around the edges of the page, well, you wouldn't be worried about it. But if Taylor's talking about the words right near the dot, then you would be more worried about it. So Taylor, how far in from the dot is it that the words are starting to do that thing you just described?
They're doing it pretty close to the dot.
Okay. And Taylor, as you're staring at the dot in the middle of the page, can you describe for me, are any of the words doing anything except staying still?
No.
Okay, so the words are not shaking, the words are not moving across the page. All that Taylor's dealing with is that the words are sort of slightly fading away, and it's only slight with Taylor. She's never struggled with her reading and writing. But it's an example of the words slightly doing, what they shouldn't really be doing. And so I don't want to put words in someone's mouth. I don't want to say to them, are the words shaking? Okay, I want to say to them things like, look, what are the words doing? What's happening with the words? I want to say those sort of questions. So now I'm going to ask the same questions I've already asked her, because she's not used to these sort of questions. She doesn't really know how to answer. If she's in year 3 or year 4, then she's just going to say the first thing that comes out of her head, or even worse, she's going to say what she thinks I want to hear. So it's helpful to keep asking these questions from a few different angles. So Taylor, just how would you describe to someone exactly what the black bits are doing on the white page? What are the black bits doing?
Just around the dot, if I'm focusing on the dot, the other words are kind of fading more out. So it's hard to see what they're really doing, but I all of a sudden can't see the words themselves clearly.
Okay, alright, so that's fairly straightforward. For Taylor it's very mild, but it's there. So what I've got here is I've got a white sheet of text, and then I've gone and photocopied it onto all these different colours. I've got a purple one, I've got a pink one, and all the rest, okay? So it's exactly the same text, but different colours. Right, so let's start with this one here. Can you stare at that dot for me again? And tell me, is the same thing happening that was happening before on the white paper, or is there anything different?
It's similar, but not exactly the same.
Yeah, so it's similar. So the colour green is not going to help her. So we need to look for some other colours. And I'm guessing it'll be blue or purple, because that's the colours it often is. Let's try this pale purple sheet. So as you're staring at the dot now, what's happening to the letters on the page? Is it the same thing as what you saw on the white, or is there any difference at all?
It's the same thing. I don't know, my eyes are tired now. Do you want to do it? It's just these ones around here.
So now Taylor's looking at the same text, but on a pale purple page. We'll see how she goes with this. So Taylor, can you describe, is there any difference between what you're looking at now compared to what you looked at before? You know how you saw what the words were doing before? What's it like now on pale purple?
It's still slightly happening around the edges.
Yeah. So the colour purple's not really solving it for her. Let's try another colour. Let's try the medium blue. Okay, so can you tell me what's happening now?
It's working better.
What do you mean by it's working better? What's happening?
The words aren't fading as much.
The words aren't fading as much. Okay, so compared to, say, staring at the white page, okay, just stare at that dot for a while, because she's probably got to stare at it for, say, 5 or 10 seconds before the words start to do funny things. Okay, so staring at that, and now staring at that, what is the difference? Can you just put in words for me?
I feel like it's not as close to the dot, that they're starting to get touched by that fading.
Yeah. Okay. So she's saying she can see more clearly, more words on the page. So this colour blue is not perfect, but it's fairly good for her. And from here, I'd look at a lot of other colours, probably mostly around the blues. I'd look at a more pale blue, a darker blue. But the bottom line is that Taylor has a clear-cut case of just really mild scotopic sensitivity. This took us a while to sort of do. With kids in your class, you wouldn't be picking out someone who's already doing really well. You'd be picking out the kids who struggle. They're more likely to immediately show that there's a big impact for them when they read on different colours. Well, thank you, Taylor, for being a human experiment, you know. What did you get out of that? Did anything surprise you? Was there anything weird about it?
Yeah, I think noticing that that's not a normal thing for the words to do, I think you just get used to what you see and don't realise other people don't see that. So.
Yeah. And what did it feel like when you first looked at that blue colour page to have the words not be doing that? What did that feel like for you?
Just noticing that that's probably how I can start adjusting how I read and stuff at home. So.
Yeah. And the thing is, this is mild for Taylor. This is so mild. There are lots of kids who, when they're looking at the words on the page, the words are swirling around. You know, they're jiggling or they're shaking. Or imagine what it's like to read like that, you know. All right, well, thank you. Taylor, that's so cool. So cool.